What's going on, guys? Phil Birch here from Unfun Stuff, and we're going to be talking about sideboarding. Yeah, this is going to be kind of a follow-up video to the previous two deck building and deck analysis videos that I have made, um, where I basically tell you that I think creating your own little pile of cards is just a fantastic way of going about learning the game in general and becoming much better in the at it competitively. You build your own decks, and then you get to a point where you are testing it a lot and gaining just like a lot of knowledge about the deck and what it is and is not, or what it can and cannot do, right? You're learning that maybe your matchups this way are very strong, but in this regard they're incredibly weak. Your strategy is a little bit too full forward, and you have to dial it back a little bit. Stuff like that that is very important for any new player to learn about themselves and about the game. Um, which is why I want to follow up with another video that is directly related to deck building. I got this comment a little while ago by Nikki Hughes on YouTube on my first video talking about building your own deck and really working around with your own strategies and all things like that. Now Nikki's asking pretty much how to sideboard in the My Hero Academia collectible card game, which is a great point. It is a very hard thing to do. I think that the side decking in this game is particularly frustrating for some and rewarding for others. The game presents itself with a 10 card side deck, which is um, a little bit smaller than like the average 15 that you see typically in card games, right? Like Magic's at a 15 card side deck, and I believe so is Yu Gi Oh! But what you do gain from that is, I think, a better ability to deck build in general. It means your main decks look a little bit more colorful, a little bit more flavor to them, a little bit more of that spice to deal with the matchups that you find are bad. So the side deck is a space where you can kind of um, either take it in two directions, where you add more copies of the stuff that you think help your bad matchups, or you can take like hard pivots away from your bad matchups. You could go this matchup is very hard for my character, so it is more beneficial for me to change my character and a little bit of my strategy along with it in order to gain an understanding of or to turn the tides, right, to turn the tides in your favor. And I just will go over just a very quick example of that situation. It's the Asui into Eraserhead matchup, right? Every Asui deck that you've seen in Top Cuts for the better part of the existence of the game has had a Kamui Woods in the side deck, and that's because the Asui matchup is very bad into Eraserhead. Eraserhead is like extremely heavily favored because he makes her turns that much more difficult, and she thrives on being a greedy deck. She thrives on playing a greedy string of attacks where you don't have to commit a lot of cards and you can instead focus on just doing damage with an entirely ready board. And if things don't work out, your board's still ready, so you get to block well and efficiently. Razorhead turns that off. So the matchup change is you turn into Kamui Woods because Kamui Woods is that much better into the matchup. It's Eraserhead doesn't want to turn him off because he doesn't do anything. And even if Eraserhead turns him off every single time, you could still always tap Kamui Woods, like, and then ready him on a block. Like, there's no way that that is the value the Eraserhead wants to get out of one card in their hand every single turn. So at minimum, you are turning the matchup into a 2/7 hand size defensive characters who block really well, and you have a to sit. You get to sit behind the water package, which does have a lot of really good and strong defensive cards as well. So you're not necessarily gapped by just having a different character on top. I think that is primarily going to be your best example of just a definite pivot from character to character. Typically, what I like to do in my matches or in my decks is I like to have some cards I want to put in going first. So if especially if I'm playing an aggro deck, I want to have like better offensive options going first, and then better defensive options going second. Whether it was Tokiyami, where sometimes I would like to put in like another copy of Sugar Rush going first, or like another like really strong, powerful attack of some sort, and then taking out like Ice Storms or whatever, because you don't really need as many copies of Ice Storm going first because it's more of your defensive card, right? But you would put all those cards in going second, along with, I don't know, say more speed reduction. You put in the Typhoon in to deal with specific matchups. You put in some Evil Gazes to have a better defensive board state than the Sugar Rushes offer you, right? Stuff like that where you can get away with pivoting specific cards in your deck is another way to approach side decking. It's probably the easiest way to do it. I think the easiest way for a new player to approach side decking is to go look at your deck. You lay it out, right? And you can go, all right, these are the ones that always come out. And when they do come out, they come out for these. I don't think that's necessarily going to be the way that will get you to the top of your game, but it will get you a little bit of a quality start into how side decking works, and you'll see benefits to it, right? If you're playing your very aggressive deck and you go, all right, if I'm going first, I take out a couple of these defensive cards and I put in more aggressive cards. Or if you win game one and you're going second, you take out a little bit more of the aggression and put in some defensive pieces. That's a simple way of dedicating a side deck. Um, Maybe you're playing like a longer game deck. You're playing a Toga deck, and you think you might need more attacks. Uh, when you do have to go and kill for your opponent, right? Say you're going into a game three, and you think, well, my deck's a little slower. Maybe if I add like an extra attack into it, or an extra attack or two from my side into it, I can get the results where I can find the attacks early, and I can kill people like that. So it's really just dependent on what you are looking for your deck to do in certain situations. If you need your side deck to help with your bad matchups, then dedicate your side deck completely to stuff like that. Um, like in Toga, for instance, at this point, I have a couple of cards to deal with Eraserhead because I think in the Eraserhead matchup, I need to be matching tempo of builds. So there are a couple more foundations in there that help that out. There's a little bit more card draw in the side deck as well to put in to ease it off. And there's a little bit more deadlock because I know that there's a situation where we both end up in deadlock, and I think I want to have as good options as they do. Or in another example would be having like wire arrows to deal with their opponent's sports stadium, or wire arrow if you think May is a bad matchup. You could wire arrow and put their assets in, and like stuff like that is just easy, like easy transitions to help you in bad matchups. Um, and I don't necessarily have cards I dedicate to taking out, right? Like I don't do that anymore. But I think that it is possible for you to look at your attacks and go, okay, one of these can always come out. Like this is a non-essential attack, or this is a non-essential foundation in all matchups. This doesn't hurt the core strategy of my deck when I take it out. If you're playing that super aggressive, like 30 attack, 30 foundation deck, right? You're gonna have room where some of your attacks have less value, and you can maybe pull those out to go a little bit slower in matchups when you need to. And you're finding like, hey man, I'm doing great going first, but going second, I need blocks. You could take out like 5, 6 attacks and put in foundations with great block odds, and you're probably gonna have a lot of success in that particular scenario because that's what you needed your deck to do, right? That's what you're looking for mostly with these side deck options is stuff that you can transition to quickly that will really help out immediately. You want to see like immediate impact, and whether that's just checks, whether that's block zones, more attacks, less attacks. You need deadlock options. Stuff like that is something that can make an immediate impact upon being drawn. And I think that's really what you're looking for. You are looking for the immediate impact of a card in a given situation, or else there's no reason to have it in your side deck, right? Like if it's in there and it doesn't have that immediate effect, then what's the point? That just seems like a waste. And I've had a lot of dead side decks in my days. I've had a lot of things I was prepared for that never showed up. So I just never had 10 cards, or I never had 8 cards back when it used to be 8. It was like some of them were always dead. It'd feel like I was playing with like a 5 card side deck, or a 6 card side deck, or a 7 card side deck, depending on if the matchups were there that day or not. And sometimes they just aren't. But it's better to be ready than to not be ready at all, right? It's you want to be prepared for the situation just in case it comes up. But hopefully, Nikki, that answers your question about side decking. I think that it is very fun. Like, I think it's one of the most rewarding things to build a side deck that you're very proud of. I think it's really cool. I changed mine 7 billion times before an event, so don't feel bad if it takes you a while to settle on something. I changed mine a million times before an event, and then sometimes I'll figure out halfway through that I should add this, that, or the other in it. So that's my video on side decking, guys. To build onto my like deck building slash competitive analysis slash whatever the fuck we're calling this little group of videos that I've got going on. But yeah, thanks again for tuning in, guys. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification button. Turn those notifications on, guys, so you can see my videos go live before I have to spam them all over the Facebook, the Twitter, Discords, all that stuff. That way you don't have to pay attention to those things. You can just go, that Chaos Naturally, that Bill Birch, new video. Fucking awesome. Leave some comments, man. Let me know what you guys want me to talk about. Let me know if you need any more like help in a particular competitive area, right? Like Nikki needed side deck help. Nick needed to know figure out how side decks work. Fuck it, dude. We'll make a video about it. We'll talk about it. I'm into it. But yeah, guys, that's what I need from you guys. Comments. Tell me what you like. Anyways, guys, that's gonna be it for me. Hopefully, see you guys in Orlando. This video should be dropping sometime in the week prior to the regional. I don't really know. I've got a bunch of stuff recorded that we're gonna drop at certain points. So, see you later, guys, and thanks again for tuning in.